Welcome back, everyone, to our deep dive into Lily's Boy by SomewheresSword here on Canon Who. We're starting, well, not starting, but we're moving into chapter 6 this week, and it is filled with emotional depth and quiet power. From Christmas morning to whispered names in the dark, this chapter reminds us that growth doesn't always come through confrontation, but sometimes it's found in reflection, rebellion, and redefinition. Christmas morning opens this chapter with warmth and a subtle shift in Harry's life. The framed photograph from Lupin and the legal book from Neville and his grandmother, they're not just gifts, right? They're symbols of belonging, you know. On the bottom of the gold frame was engraved with the words Harry's first Yule. This isn't just a present. It roots Harry in traditions that he's been denied, ties him to Lupin as a surrogate family, somebody he should have always known. And it shows us something rare in his life: joy. And Lady Augusta Longbottom, she actually reinforces this new sense of identity for him and welcoming him. In her note with the gift, it says, "I hope this book is of assistance. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any further questions. Well met and happy Yule, Lady Augusta Longbottom." She is reaching out to him through Neville, and I actually really like the part in that missive that she gives him of stating that there should be a book in the Potter Vault of family traditions, that should he need an adult with him for the visit, she's more than willing to go with him to see it and to find it, right? So then we move into the next scene where Harry is just kind of walking through the castle, runs into Dumbledore. And this hallway conversation with Dumbledore, it is masterfully written. It truly is. Every line of dialogue is coded in subtext. It is beautiful. Dumbledore offers pity. Harry's offering politeness, but underneath, Harry is analyzing this so much, and he's controlling himself, and he's resisting. Like, he even mentions like looking over his shoulder and not looking Dumbledore in the eye, right? Harry even thinks about, how would he have acted before the compulsions and whatnot were removed, where, he realizes, oh yeah, I would have been trusting, impulsive, thoughtless. I can do that. At least I'm going to try, right? So this fic sharpens its critique of Dumbledore here. Harry sees through the isolation where Dumbledore is trying to kind of steer him away from Lupin, right? The emotional management and manipulation that Dumbledore is pushing here. Dumbledore wants Harry alone. Wants with no one to rely on except for those he picks. Later on, we get this tension after dinner with Severus going back to his quarters and finding a present that wasn't there before he left from Remus. And the tension between Remus and Severus continues to unfold so quietly but powerfully. Remus's gift is a puzzle box. It's a wooden puzzle box that reminds him of the ones he has back in his parents' home, on a dusty shelf that he hasn't stepped foot into the home in many years. This is loaded with memory and meaning. it's not just a courtesy gift, right? Like, Remus even brings attention to McGonagall will inevitably buy him a bottle of some sort of whiskey. That's a courtesy gift. That's a gift when you really don't know someone. Now, to think about Remus's gift for Severus, it is heartfelt. It has meaning to it. And I do like the note that Remus leaves.
Paused. There on his coffee table was a brown paper wrap package. It definitely hadn't been there when he left for lunch. He reached for it with trepidation, knowing without needing to look where it had come from. That sodding wolf. Sure enough, the handwriting across the top was familiar. Severus, I know you weren't expecting anything. I highly doubt you've got me anything. Don't worry. I just couldn't resist. Perhaps we could have a drink when I'm feeling better. I'm going to need help working through the bottle of Glenfiddich Minerva will undoubtedly give me. I'm not asking for things to be how they were. I'm just asking for us to move forward. Merry Christmas, Remus.
And that's... like, I'm gonna tear up. Severus doesn't reject the gift. He can't. Because even in silence, there's still this dialogue between them. We're feeling their grief. We're hearing Remus's hope. And the echo of something unfinished. And, you know, our surly Severus moved forward. He scoffed. That was easier said than done. He cursed the corner of his shriveled up heart that was desperate to find out. He's not done. He says he is. But his heart says otherwise. And I think that is so powerful. And we're talking of just, you know, a handful of paragraphs here, and this tale of, we're not entirely sure what their relationship was at this stage. We have an inkling, but it speaks to that deep connection between them, that heavy understanding of another person. So beautifully written. Kudos, round of applause for SomewheresSword for that scene alone. Now we go back to our high schoolers. Are they high schoolers at this point? Third year? They're 13-ish, so let's go back to our teenagers here. We have our trio fracturing, right? Ron's anger over Scabbers is the spark, but the deep truth is that Harry is outgrowing him, right? He has seen enough, and Harry is done excusing the temper and immaturity, even going so far as to yell at Ron to grow up. And Ron's response is kind of telling. It's not about the rat or even about friendship. It is about control and fear of change. Ron is scared that Harry is changing. Too much is happening. The part here, Ron actually says, "You've changed, Harry. I figured it was just about Black, but you're weird this year. Always off by yourself, doing Merlin knows what. Making friends with Slytherins. Really? Slytherins. I'm not sure I like it." And, I mean, Ron's not really wrong. Harry has changed. He just doesn't know why. And Harry's not sure if he can trust him. The trio that is once defined Harry's life is beginning to unravel. When we reach the emotional core of this chapter, Harry and Draco, again, their late night meeting. Harry and Draco alone in the corridor exchanging first names. And a world where names mean legacy, this moment is an intimate rebellion. They actually kind of go back and reenact that introduction from the first train ride of year one, and kind of get a chance to redo it.
Slowly, Harry reached out a hand, looking into silver grey eyes. No one needs to know about this, though. Not in private. He tilted his head, lips curving in a smile, remembering two boys, smaller, younger, entirely oblivious to the truth of the other. Malfoy hesitantly extended his own hand, but his grip was firm when his fingers curled around Harry's. Draco Malfoy, he said, as if introducing himself for the first time. It's a pleasure to meet you. Harry Potter, he returned, grinning. I think we're going to be great friends, Draco Malfoy. Letting go of the other boy's hand, Harry glanced at his watch. Speaking of appearances, I should get back to the party before someone notices I'm gone.
They actually shake hands this time. So I love that little nod of they're getting a do-over. Like they're getting this second chance to get to know each other. It's not just friendship, and it's not yet romance. But there is a vulnerability to it. It's choice. I said it is a rebellion. This is a rebellion against the roles that they've been assigned, with Malfoy being raised up the young aristocratic pureblood, and Harry having grown up and now learning that he is supposed to be the savior of the wizarding world. They're from two completely opposite sides, and they're both kind of looking at the idea of what's supposed to be around them and going, no, I pick you. And they're picking themselves and each other at the same time. Later on, Harry is feeling kind of bad about the fractures within the trio. So he does decide that he needs to share a secret. And the secret he chooses to share is the Marauders map. So he does share with Ron and Hermione that he's been given this map from the twins. Ron's excitement is clashing with Hermione's worries, and rightfully so. At this point, we all still believe that Sirius Black is after Harry, and this map could lead him straight to Harry, right? If it were to fall into Black's hands. All of us that know better, we're kind of chuckling at, but and it is very telling how Harry chooses to introduce the idea of introduce this secret to them, especially for Ron, because he says, "Don't get mad at me." He started reaching into his bag and pulling out the map. A little bit ago, the twins gave me this. The fact that he had to tell Ron not to get mad at him, he knows that Ron is going to be upset that the twins chose to give this to Harry and not Ron. It's going to feel kind of slighted that his brothers gave something to his friend and not their little brother. So, I do want to point out here that love doesn't necessarily mean openness. All right, friendship doesn't mean full disclosure. And Harry is learning to choose his confidences. And that's pretty huge for his autonomy. I can't talk today, y'all. Now, Remus, we move back to Remus. Well, not really back to, but we have a scene that is actually encompassing Remus here. And it is very inside his mind and the internal monologue, right? So we close this chapter with Remus reflecting on Sirius, James, and Lily. His memories ache with nostalgia and unanswered questions. The quote that I love the most, well, the part that I'm pulling from the most is his gaze kept drawing back from those familiar gray eyes, shining with so much life and love and joy. He still didn't understand how everything could go so wrong. Maybe he never would. And then he actually murmurs to the photo and says,
"Why, Padfoot?" He murmured to the photo, a question he'd asked thousands of times in the last 12 years. "You could have had everything. We could have had everything." Even with Voldemort's growing power, they still had so much hope in that little family of theirs. Now it was all gone, except Harry. The only hope he had left, the shining light in the darkness. He couldn't believe Sirius capable of snuffing that light out.
There's questioning. It's not a full-on denial. He's trying to hope for a brighter future, and it is heartbreaking. The perfect end note for a chapter about quiet rebellion against this grief, isolation, and manipulation. Like, look at me. I'm tearing up over here just from that part of that. Ugh. That final scene. Y'all. It's painfully beautiful. Chapter 6 is all about quiet rebellion. It's not against monsters or curses, but grief, isolation, and manipulation. Harry is redefining his relationships, his trust, his place in the world, and he's making those choices on his own terms. He's finding out who he's trusting with his secrets. So if this chapter hits you like the night bus through London did, like it did me, leave a comment. Let's talk. What did you make of Draco and Harry's name exchange, of Remus's memories, the gift he gave Severus, and how do you feel about the cracks forming for the Golden Trio? So join me next week for chapter 7. Until our next meeting, may your magic serve you well.